Hi again, this is Frank DeMora, April the 10th, 2012, and I'm sure there are a lot of people out there who may just stumble on my website here at the Last Chronicles of Planet Earth. And I'd like to invite you to go to my prophecy site, BibleProphecyMan.com. Now, there's a lot of people who don't know that there's a war that will be fought during the time that Israel is calling for peace and safety. Look what the Apostle Paul wrote to us in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 and verse 3 and 4. For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. But ye, brethren, are not in darkness, that that day should overtake you as a thief. And so we know that while people are calling for peace and safety, trying to bring in some kind of peace in the Middle East, which has eluded them ever since 1979, that during this time there's going to be a major war fought. Now we know by the signs of everything that we're seeing, not just this one particular sign here in Thessalonians, but the Lord said, when you shall see all these things, know that it's near, even at the door. And so we've been watching the tensions mount in Israel. And we saw this march by many of the Islamic nations and the Arab nations. A couple weeks ago, they were marching, trying to get close to Israel as they can, close to Jerusalem as they can. But obviously it really didn't work. And so there's more tensions that are rising in the Middle East and Israel. And let me just show you some of these tensions. And here is an article. As soon as it comes up, I'll scroll up so you can see it better. But it says the second air flotilla to be stopped. And what's happening here is you have all of these people from different parts of the country or different parts of the world that are coming in. They've been boarding planes, heading for Israel, heading for Jerusalem, with the plans of going into one of these protests. And as you see here, that most of these protests turn out to be violent. It says officials in Jerusalem vowed on Tuesday to stop hundreds of anti-Israel activists from entering Israel over the weekend. The activists plan to board flights for the Ben Gurion International Airport with the aim of participating in anti-Israel demonstrations in Judea and Samaria. And while they insist the demonstrations they plan to participate in will be nonviolent, anti-Israel demonstrations in the region frequently turn into riots. And we've seen many of these on the news, and YouTube is filled with them nowadays because people are taking photos of what's taking place, movies, and are uploading them to the international or the World Wide Web. Irrespective of the nature of the protest, the activists plan to attend. Israeli leaders say the campaign is a provocation. So over the course of these many years, we see that people are coming against Israel. This is, again, one of the signs. Zechariah 12:3 told us that everybody in the last days will come against Israel, and anybody who burdens themselves over Jerusalem will be cut into pieces. And obviously, many people are doing that. You'll see that this is, again, one of the instruments by the PLO and by those that hate Israel to put Israel in a negative light in the world. And this, again, is fulfilling prophecy. Now, let me go back to my site for a second here. And as soon as it loads, we'll scroll down and move right into the next article as soon as it loads. This is only a few seconds. And we'll go right to it here. Now this is, again, we're talking about the peace call, right? Thessalonians talked about when they shall say peace and safety. Well, one of the major problems of this peace talks are the breakup over who owns Jerusalem, this city. This is a key obstacle into the peace talks in the Middle East. And just so I want to make sure that you see this fairly good. I'm going to blow this up as big as I can. And you'll see that the settlements destroyed, two-state solution, says the Palestinian envoy. Now, what you need to know is from Joel chapter 3, you'll see that there is anybody who tries to divide the land of Israel, divide Israel up, there's going to be, these people who try to do that will be destroyed. This is what the Lord said. And obviously, we have people that are trying to split up Israel, divide Israel, and this is essentially what we see taking place in this news article. The Palestinian New Observer in the Riyadh, who is, we see these people writing letters to the UN frequently about this problem. It says the UN Secretary General Ben Ki-moon, Secretary Council and General Assembly, urging the condemnation of Israel's settlements activities. Now, the settlement activity that this leader, one of the leaders of the Palestinians, is saying is this is the area disputed from the 1967 war, when Israel recaptured East Jerusalem, and they captured other land as well. So they want it back, and obviously Israel's not going to give it back. So they keep writing these letters saying, give us this land back, and it just rings a bell. When they shall call, peace and safety, sudden destruction comes. Now, the peace plan has been stalled. It's been that way for a long time now. And I believe that soon, because that it is stalled, the Arabs are going to want to do something to unstall it, and then you will see that Psalm 83 war. It says the Palestinians on Monday accused Israel of systematically destroying prospects of a two-state solution to their decades-long conflict with the continuing campaign of the settlement building. In other words, Israel is building more homes in East Jerusalem, and they're building homes in areas that the Palestinians believe that is their land, and it's causing higher problem or tensions, more tensions, I should say. And so the Palestinian UN observer Riyad Mansour sent a protest letter to the UN Secretary General Ben Ki-moon, the Secretarial Council, and the General Assembly 2 days before the quartet of Middle East mediators, the U.S., the UN, the European Union, and Russia, meets in Washington to discuss the long-stalled peace process. Mansour said that Israel's illegal and destructive plans to build new settlements underscore the dubious nature of its claims of the readiness to negotiate a peace deal. Israel-Palestinian talks remain frozen over the Palestinian demands that Israel stop building on lands they claim and agree to navigate or negotiate borders based on the 1967 lines, which based again, that means that they would get back East Jerusalem, and Israel has no plans of giving their holy city away to the Palestinians. So going back to what the Lord had warned in Paul's writing, telling us that in the last days these things would it would cause not only as labor pains like we've been seeing for these many, many years, but these labor pains will eventually call a sudden destruction. And that sudden destruction, I believe, will be a fulfillment, will end up fulfilling the Ezekiel or the Psalm 83 war, of which all the bordering nations around Israel will attack Israel. And I believe it will be because of these stalled peace talks. So when you hear news about the call for peace and safety between Israel and the Arabs, pay attention to what the Lord warned through Paul, because we're seeing these things happen in the news, and it won't be long before we see the rest of the prophecies fulfilled.